Good evening, this is AWANI Tonight. I'm Farhana Sheik. The death toll from a landslide at the father's organic farm campsite in Batang Kali near Genting Highlands has increased to 21. According to Deputy Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ahmad Zahid Hamidi, the focus now is on finding the 12 victims who are still missing. Search and rescue efforts are ongoing for the next 24 hours to identify any new casualties. However, it will be immediately paused if it rains heavily. Close to 100 victims were at the campsite when the landslide occurred in the early hours of Friday morning. The height of the landslide was around 30 meters high, with an estimated area of 3 acres being affected. The landslide at Batang Kali was due to an embankment slope failure, according to Natural Resources, Environment and Climate Change Minister Nik Ahmad. He says this involves some 450,000 cubic meters of displaced earth. Checks reveal the slope failure spanned an area of 500 meters in length, a width of 200 meters and a depth of 8 meters. Nik added that the Minerals and Geoscience Department will continue to monitor the area and provide warnings should there be any earth movement in the location. He advised the public to exercise extra caution, especially during the current northeast monsoon season. Meanwhile, Home Minister Datuk Seri Saifuddin Nasution Ismail announced a freeze on all outdoor recreational activities around Batang Kali following the deadly landslide. He adds that authorities will be checking if the campsites in the area were operating legally.
Arahan total kita kepada pasukan keselamatan, sebab itu autoriti OCPD daerah sudah percaya ini destinasi popular keliling ini kan, dan saya percaya masih kedapatan campsite yang begitu yang menerima pengunjung. Jadi biar kita buat blanket instruction begitu dulu sebagai langkah jaga-jaga.
Tapi macam mana dengan aktiviti pergi ke air terjun dan sebagainya? Sebab ada juga yang tak pergi buka camp.
Nah, saya fikir untuk kita fokus kawasan ini dulu, asal saja campsite atau aktiviti riadah yang mempunyai risiko yang seumpama ini, runtuhan tanah runtuh ya, kita pakai yang itu dulu.
The 3 campsites buried by a landslide in Batang Kali were unlicensed, says Local Government Development Minister Nga Koming. Nga confirmed that the operators were permitted to open organic farms but had not put in an application to set up campsites. According to him, the operator filed an application to begin organic farming activities in 2019, but was believed to begin operating the campsite in 2020. The campsite operators face a jail term of up to 3 years or a 50,000 ringgit fine if convicted. Nga instructed those operating such activities without licenses to cease operations immediately and apply for licensing first, adding that 150 local authorities have received orders to clear out campsites for at least 7 days. He said the government would be working with the Malaysian Meteorological Department to see if these campsites were at risk, and advised campsite operators to engage with the Mineral and Geoscience Department to review their land structure. It's exactly 1 year since the December 2021 floods. Heavy rains in recent weeks have again heightened the risk of floods and landslides like the deadly tragedy in Batang Kali. On Consider This, we asked our guests if we're better prepared now. A historic Memorandum of Understanding (MOU) was signed between all coalitions and parties in the ruling government today. According to the pact, every party in the coalition government must ensure that their MPs support the Prime Minister, Datuk Seri Anwar Ibrahim, and the government he leads in any confidence motions or bills in the Dewan Rakyat.
You see and read what has been crafted. I must thank the committee representing all parties. Intense negotiations to enter into an understanding, and I think the commitment is, of course, to support a stable government which will hopefully finish the term.
Based on the agreement, MPs who fail to toe their respective parties' line and who vote against the Prime Minister or the government will be deemed to have resigned as an MP. The MP seat is then essentially vacated, citing Article 49A in bracket 1 of the Federal Constitution. The MOU also states that the parties have the sole prerogative in ensuring their respective MPs vote on all motions in accordance with parties' instructions. Meanwhile, on the distribution of cabinet portfolios and chairmanship of parliamentary special select committees, it shall be proportional to the number of MPs each party has in the government. The MOU also stipulates the establishment of a National Consultative Council comprising representatives from all parties and coalitions in the government. In other news, the Agriculture and Food Security Ministry has agreed to temporarily allow the import of chicken eggs from external sources. In a statement issued today, the ministry said the move was taken to overcome egg supply shortage facing the country for the past few months. The ministry said the decision would be reviewed when domestic supply stabilizes. The trial phase supply of chicken egg imports from India arrived in Malaysia earlier today, with all the protocols and procedures set by the government adhered to without compromise. Bernama earlier reported that the supply of chicken eggs in supermarkets and retail stores in 5 states, namely Perak, Penang, Kelantan, Selangor and Malacca, was seen to be depleting, with consumers and traders saying they are having problems getting supplies. The ministry stressed that importing chicken eggs was not meant to suppress local industry, but to ensure sufficient supply in the country with competitive prices. We will go for a quick break. Stay with us.
Abah kamu ada je yang tak kena. Hari tu...
Wish, laju. Mari.
Sebab tu, plan dia sekarang ni paling laju. Ada macam-macam. Hebat RM10 pun dapat.
Opah tu, opah ni, awak pun nak juga kan?
Nampak gaya dua-dua ni nak Digi Fiber. Adik pun berhajat nak talent family kan?
Ceritanya semua orang nak.
Ini pelan yang terbaik untuk keluarga.
As a bank, it's what drives us to do right by you.
Adakah bahan dari sumber semula jadi berkesan? Lihatlah hasil pada rambut anda. Dengan kandungan 90% bahan dari sumber semula jadi, Herbal Essences memelihara rambut secara lembut, membaiki dan melembapkan. Cuba rangkaian produk Herbal Essences kami hari ini. Stadium kencang di setiap pelosok rumah anda. Pelanggan Pack Sports boleh menikmati 30% diskaun dan 100 Mbps dengan tawaran eksklusif online Astro Fiber. Switch sekarang.
Tangkap jauhan bersama kuncu-kuncu.
Sebelum mati menjemput, kita berjanji untuk berjuang.
Combo Blockbuster 2022. Sewa dan stream on demand atau sila ke saluran 480.
Welcome back. Islamic finance has the potential to contribute significantly toward addressing the funding gaps for environmental, social and governance ESG goals. Thankfully, from Moody's Investor Service discusses how Malaysia can step up.
Islamic finance is really underpinned by ethical consideration, and in our view, that really aligns with some of the core ESG principles. And in fact, there are 2 key areas that I would like to highlight. Firstly is on the investments in climate-related initiatives. I think as everyone knows, there is a huge investment shortfall in the global transition to net zero. Today, when we look at ESG Sukuk issuance, they remain very small. But at the same time, this also indicates a huge opportunity for Islamic finance to fill the gap. Based on our research, they total only about 8 billion in 2021. But we seen that it has actually grown significantly over the past few years from just about less than 1 billion in 2017. Now, the second area where Islamic finance can actually fill the gap is really on financial inclusion. So I think besides financing, Islamic banks can also provide support to the lower income segment through the philanthropic funds such as zakat, wakaf, and sadaqah. The reason why I think so, because when you look at the Islamic financial system, we think that their extensive network can in fact enhance the collection and distribution of these funds.
Thankfully said there has been progress in the sector to speed up ESG adoption, but more can be done.
Now, what we have seen so far is that the Islamic banks are integrating ESG consideration with the help of the central bank ESG sectoral guides and taxonomy, which in turn will facilitate the company's adoption of ESG practices as well as the net zero transition. Also, Islamic banks in Malaysia are driving a lot of the financial inclusion initiative, such as financing small businesses and affordable housing, as well as increasing the collaboration with the state Islamic religious councils and other non-governmental organizations to mobilize zakat, wakaf, and sadaqah to really benefit the lower income communities down there. Now, when we talk about all these developments, they are right now in a fairly nascent stage, but we expect the momentum to continue because we see a very clear government push, and also obviously because of the increasing awareness of ESG issue, not just among investors, but also the public at large.
On to the international front, at least 10 people, including 5 children, were killed after a fire broke out at an apartment building in Lyon, France. Authorities said 4 people were critically injured, while 10 others suffered minor injuries. According to officials, the children who were killed ranged from ages 3 to 15. The fire at the 8-story apartment building, which broke out early Friday morning, has since been put out. Emergency services were alerted about 3:12 a.m. local time and arrived at the scene 13 minutes after. Around 170 firefighters and 65 fire engines were sent to the scene. The cause of the fire is still being investigated. Over in Germany, a giant aquarium containing 1 million litres of water in a Berlin hotel has burst, flooding the lobby and nearby streets. Known as the Aquadome and home to some 1,500 tropical fish, it is the largest freestanding cylindrical aquarium in the world. Authorities say the incident has caused major maritime damage and injured 2 people with glass shards. Around 350 guests have been moved out of the hotel, and streets in front of the building were closed due to extreme amounts of water on the road. Over 100 firefighters were deployed to deal with the devastation, but it's not yet clear what caused the break. Authorities have also not commented on the fate of the fish. The Aquadome was opened in December 2003, and according to reports at the time of its construction, it cost around 11.2 million British pounds to build. Beijing crematoriums are overwhelmed on Friday as China faces a surge in COVID-19 cases. Authorities warn that the wave could hit rural areas during upcoming public holidays. AFP reported that 2 Beijing funeral homes were operating 24 hours a day and offering same-day cremation services to keep up with a recent surge in demand. However, official data registered no new virus deaths since December 4th. China's top COVID-19 response body today urged local governments to step up monitoring and treatment services for people returning to rural hometowns to visit family for upcoming New Year's Day and Lunar New Year celebrations. COVID-19 has been spreading rapidly across the country after 3 years of a strict zero-COVID policy measures ended last week. That is all we have for you on AWANI tonight. I'm Farhana Sheik. Thank you for watching.
Di sinilah
anak-anak muda kita tanpa mengira bangsa bersatu hati menyokong pasukan Malaysia. Ada yang berbalik kerja, singgah makan, nak sambung email. Jadi, wifi kedai kenalah kuat kan? Alhamdulillah, dengan adanya wifi dan hiburan, bolehlah kedai saya ini jadi tempat masyarakat mesra bersama. Meriah malam Sabtu dan Ahad tengok bola. Kawan dan lawan duduk semeja, support tim Premier League masing-masing. Tak sabar tunggu World Cup nanti. Bisnes ini bukan sekadar kedai makan. Inilah legasi dan contribution saya memupuk masyarakat berhibur dalam suasana harmoni. Astro Fiber Biz memang kencang.
What's the latest scoop when it comes to companies, markets and strategies? For everything business and tech related, catch Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani, weekdays 10:30 p.m. across all AWANI platforms.